Howdy there, everyone. I figured let's try something different. Let's try and make some content for my YouTube channel. So I figured, okay, let's start with something relatively basic. Well, let's play of Donkey Kong Country for the SNES. Oops. Apparently, the emulator forgot my control bindings. Hold on. The control mappings. Either that or it's. Okay, it lost my button map. Oh, wait, actually, hold on. Okay, there we go. Just had my fingers misaligned to the buttons. That was my bad. I'm not gonna be doing like 100% completion run or anything like that. It's just gonna be a strictly casual playthrough. Though, I'll admit, I know the majority of the early levels to the point where I can get through them relatively easily. Aside from the occasional screw up on my part, like that. Nope. That was the wrong opening to go down. So I went down the first one. I will take advantage of any secrets or that I can find to jump myself forward in levels, just to get past the more annoying parts of certain stages. Since a lot of the time the bonus rooms will warp you past. Let's see, I think, oh, I was close. I was thinking it was either that one or the one it wound up in. I just couldn't. Of course, it's kind of a crapshoot whether it warps you forward or just drops you back in about where you left the area. I believe there's a bonus. Oh, okay. Yeah, failing out of the bonus rooms doesn't. Any of the rooms that you can fall out of the bottom of the room from, it's not a death pit or anything, thankfully. feel like I should probably easily be able to clear the first world or two without within the span of a 20 or 30 minute video recording. But anyways, not necessarily trying to speedrun or anything, just trying to sort of play through the game as smoothly as I can without getting too many game overs. I briefly, like very briefly, had an interest in actually attempting to speedrun this game, but my god, the orders of magnitude of tricks and just stuff that you have to get good at in order to really speedrun this game at any sort of actual level is just insane. Like the degrees of intricate knowledge and just straight up insane tricks that have to be learned to really maximize your potential in the game is just absolutely bonkers. Oh. I just realized I have my cam overlay turned off. Whoops. Okay. Oh, that was my bad. Oh yeah, well I'm thinking I'll fix. Wait, where the fuck is my webcam overlay? Deactivate? Activate. There we go. That was bizarre. Thankfully, there's kind of a large level skip that I can... There's a barrels here that I can use to skip like a third of the level or so. And then here's another one that lets me do another large skip over another decent sized chunk of the level. Boing, boing, boing. Whoop. Yeah, this level is supposed to sort of be the manual, or the introduction to, like, proper introduction to blast barrels in the sense of actually, player-operated ones that you're supposed to be using to traverse the levels. Of course, initially they're trying to keep it relatively simple and unobtrusive, but yeah, they get really pain in the butt difficult later on. Thankfully, the vast majority of these are on a stage-wide timer based on when you load into the stage, so if you move through the stage as efficiently as possible, in most situations, you'll get, or at least close to as efficiently as possible, you'll generally wind up getting, oh, sorry, I'm kind of like concentrating on the boss, although it was kind of trivial. His whole shtick is he jumps at you and you can only actually damage him when he's grounded. So you gotta like catch him in the midst of his jump cycle, or in a few frames of his jump cycle where he's solidly grounded, and land on him in order to actually deal damage to him. You just have to hit him like six times to kill him. Thankfully, these first like 3 or 4, first world or two is really good for farming extra lives. Though the drawback is, if I recall correctly, the game does not retain your extra life count between reloading from saves. It defaults it back to 5, as though you got a game over. So that can be kind of obnoxious. And here we come to the first infamous minecart stage of the game. I guess I'll give it a college try and not cheese it with the secret exit. Or basically, right in front of the little blast barrel that sends me over to the cart, there's a... If you do a specifically positioned jump, you can land in a barrel that blasts you over to another barrel that sends you directly to the end of the stage and cuts out the entirety of the stage. Oh, crap. Lets you skip the entire level, essentially. You only have to do a little bit of platforming right at the end and dodge like an enemy or two. And yes, these deprecated minecarts that are sitting on the track count as enemies. Unfortunately, at times it can be a little difficult to gauge the exact jump distance that you have to get to clear these minecarts, because their sprites are a little bit deceptive in terms of their hitboxes. Like, they have a hitbox that trails out on both sides of them, so it can be a little difficult to determine exactly how far you have to jump in order to act, or exactly at what point you have to jump to clear them. On top of that, the differences in momentum created by going over different segments of track also kind of screw you over. Unfortunately, with those gap sections there like that, you have to kind of almost jump a little bit more prematurely than you would think, since jumping at the very edge of them actually kills a lot of your forward momentum and can cause you to miss the jump. So it kind of sucks. Oh, that was me not paying attention. That was completely my fault. And like I said, unfortunately you don't have as much leeway on clearing these jumps as you think you would, because logic would dictate that you'd want to jump as close to the edge of the platform as humanly possible. In order to clear in order to clear the gaps. But rather counterintuitively, you actually have to jump a lot earlier than you think you would, because jumping at the exact edge of the platform actually kills all your forward momentum. Going at the exact edge of the rail actually basically nullifies all your a lot of your forward momentum, to where if you jump way too late, basically eats all your momentum, and you won't be able to clear the jump at all. Okay. Should be getting kind of close to the end. I'll recognize it as soon as... Okay, yeah, this is about the point where you get dropped in if you're... Yeah, this segment right where that sign is where you get dropped in at if you do the jump to the warp barrel. Now I should just probably stop holding the Y button to run, because it doesn't actually have any impact on my momentum at all. It's strictly a placebo. Plus it'll be easier on my thumb. I jumped a smidge bit too early. The weird thing is, it doesn't matter which Kong happens to be in the front of the cart. They both have the same level of acceleration. Also, it doesn't seem to matter whether one of them are... I'm assuming that would just be would have probably been too much complex physics for the game designers to include. So they just assumed that you have the same degree of momentum regardless of how many Kongs are in the cart. Plus, it would kind of break up the momentum in the game if you could soft lock, because you could clear a jump. And unfortunately, these Kremlings that are sitting in the mine carts that are rolling at me, I cannot just bounce on their heads like other normal enemies. I have to jump over them, so it is a bit of a timing thing. Let's see. Thankfully, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only like one other minecart stage in this entire game. Thankfully, the devs that, God, I am failing this stage so hard. Even though I know it, like, I know where everything is, because I played the game to death when I was a kid. It was just... old man reflexes are starting to sink in, and just not able to consistently is exactly why I gave up on the prospect of trying to actually learn the speed run of this game. Technically, the speed run skips these minecart levels because they use developer included warps to skip over them in their entireties, but and jump. There we go. But for reference, I'll go back real quick. Here's where the developer intended warp was located. And here's where it drops you in at. Literally the last jump. Just to demonstrate that. Unfortunately, the stage is kind of dull, so it's not really much to banter over, unfortunately. Just another boring cave stage. Ah, damn it. That was my fault. I went a little too crazy trying to land that jump. The reason I'm so turgid about keeping the frog here is because, or, the reason why I'm going out of my way to keep the frog here, oh, damn it, that was my bad. I sort of overdid that. But the reason why I'm trying to keep the frog with me is it's my only real means of killing these zingers. Ow. Ow. I think I'm like one stage away from getting to a save point, so I can save there. Oh, if I can ever get past this one. Unfortunately, I have not ran across another thing. Well, technically, I overlooked it because I was a little overconfident because I had like 10 lives to work with. So I figured, okay, I can easily get past a lot of these stages between here and the next save point. And then Karma strikes and... Okay, this time I'm just gonna play this stupidly safe and just... not... go crazy with the jumps. Okay, whatever. Ah, dang it. I was trying to get up in that bonus barrel. That would be so embarrassing to lose all that and have to go through all those stages again on recording. Just because I'm being an idiot and just trying to ham it up for the recording. Well, at least I'm... And then again, that's kind of the thing with old games. They're punishingly difficult, but at the same time reward you for actually being not completely terrible at them. As opposed to just rewarding you all the time. Whilst being stupidly easy. There we go. Finally. Oh, Jiminy Jellicers, stop and go station. The annoying part is I almost never play the stage the normal intended way because it's just so much easier to just abuse the developer intended warp and skip the entire stage. Or 2/3 of the entire stage at least. Because there's a developer intended warp. If you walk backwards at the stage entrance, it'll basically it'll warp you straight to the straight to near the end of the last series of platforms you have to jump over, skip almost the entire stage and ignore all this nonsense. It's not that it's a particularly difficult stage, honestly, even with the absence of the skip. Plus, it does teach you some nifty game mechanics, like the fact that Diddy Kong in particular has coyote time when he jumps. Over the ledge of a platform, and he can kind of extend his jump by jumping in the right way, or jumping with the right timing. I mean, technically, DK also has the same coyote time. It's just, Diddy Diddy's Sky Energy time is a lot more pronounced when he does it. Okay, 16%. Oh, I'm not doing 100% run out of the game. I'm just trying to clear the game. Normally. Bonus barrel. Oh. It's just a normal blast barrel. If I recall correctly, this sets up for a bonus later on. And jump over these crushes and blank. There, yeah. And that makes up for part of my life deficit. Or extra life deficit, I guess. Oops. Oh, wait. Yeah, plus unlike a certain Let's Player, who I will not name drop, I'm not having to abuse my way through the game with save states. I'm actually playing the game as it was intended. With all the difficulties and hardships and probably game overs that are involved with that. Blank. Blank. Yeah, the person I'm referring to, again, whom I won't overtly name drop, for reasons of him having a rather carnivorous fan base that tends to jump at the slightest provocation to start. Oh, really? Wow, okay. That's kind of lame. But, anyways. Yeah, he has a very carnivorous fan base that will jump at the slightest provocation to defend him. Not quite on the order of magnitude of Pokemon's Simp Brigade, but... Oops. Well, I just kind of defeated my own policy of not referring to other Let's Players by immediately proceeding to refer to one of the biggest ones. Unintentionally. But anyways. Oh boy, looks like this is getting close to game over territory. Okay, let me shut up and actually concentrate on the game and not fucking fiddle around. Oh. Okay, that was my fault. I didn't hit the jump button at the right time. I was too close to the ledge and I didn't hit the jump button at the right time, so I screwed up there. That was completely and utterly my fault. I won't even try and argue that point. Point, point. Yeah, unfortunately, those neckies have really weird hitboxes, so it can be a pain in the butt to hit them when they start throwing those rocks at you. I think they're supposed to be nuts, but I'm like coconuts or something, but didn't want to strictly say that because obvious reasons. Anyways, I'm gonna go back up here to the save point just so if I die in the early levels of the next stage, I won't get set back too horribly far. Yeah, that's another thing that particular Let's Player I was referring to didn't do at all during his playthrough of this game. The most obnoxious part about this particular boss fight is he can get in it's entirely possible for him to get into a pattern where he just sits at the very top corner of the screen where you can't actually bounce high enough to hit him. You can hit him, but he'll be so high up that you'll hit his nose and it won't actually count as a clean hit because of where his hitbox is, or where his active hitbox is. Ah, no. But yeah, it's good that I bothered saving where I did. Because unfortunately, level 3 is this is about the point in the game where the first major sort of spike in the difficulty curve of the game starts happening. These stages are still relatively non-complex, it's just that if you're not kind of careful about how you play, you can still screw yourself really hard. Minigame time. Wait. Basically, I've got to survive and hit these clap traps a certain number of times without taking any damage from them. If I do, well, if I do, I get a special reward. If I don't, I just get a bunch of bananas. But yeah. Yeah, that guy spent almost his entire playthrough doing nothing but whining and bitching and moaning about how, air quotes, unfair the game was. And he had to play through the game using the inbuilt save states on the Virtual Console release of the game. And after a certain point, he started getting into the late portions of the game and started game overing left and right, and he started getting to the point, partly because his viewer base wasn't giving him enough money to justify him keep playing the game, so he kept saying, oh, I'm just gonna start rushing through the game and trying to blow through it because it's clear it's clear the people that voted for the... Oh yeah, that's another thing that's another bullshit thing that he did. That I'm going to gratuitously call him out for is that was a fan's choice playthrough, or supposed to be a fan's choice playthrough that he was doing at the time, and he spent the entire playthrough bitching about it. Like, he spent the entire game bitching about, the entire playthrough bitching about the game's difficulty, among other things. Even though it wasn't really the game's that hard. Yeah, I'll admit it has some rough spots toward, like, from World 4 onward, it can get kind of grueling, but that's sort of the natural expected difficulty curve of a game like this. Of course, the main area he was complaining about was a lot of people in his chat were endlessly yelling at him to not play the game like a bitch and use save states and actually deal with the game overs he was getting because of his own screw-ups. Yet constantly blaming the game devs. He also played Donkey Kong 64 to similar effect. And with similar implications. And that was also another instance of just hearing hilariously stupid amounts of whining from him. Of course, a lot of the whining in that case was also due to the fact that the game had a very primitive, no pun intended, a very primitive early 3D camera to it, because of course it's like one of the earliest 3D games ever to exist. Or 3D third-person action games to exist. So obviously it's gonna have a very primitive camera to it. And he spent that entire playthrough whining about how bad the camera was, among other things. And how it artificially inflated the game's difficulty. Because I suck at operating an early generation 3D camera. I mean, okay, I guess there's an argument to be made that the camera didn't... The actual conventions of how the game's camera system worked didn't necessarily translate very well. Oh, actually, I'm correcting myself. He was playing on the Switch Virtual Console release of it for both games. And both games have saves, or both releases have... Or, no, wait, actually, yeah, one of them was on the Wii U, the other was on the Switch Virtual Console, or the... Gotta match this from left to right, and... Damn it. If I recall correctly, I think there's actually something you can get if you match 3 bananas. Anyways, I digress. God, I just realized this is going from turning into this is turning from being a Let's Play to more or less a Let's Bitch at X streamer who I will not mention, or whom I will not mention by name, for being bad at video games. Or at least not wanting to accept that he's bad at video games. Let's see. There's a difference in being objectively bad at video games and accepting that, and then being objectively bad at video games and being a total shithead about it and always deflecting blame to the developer or some other aspect of the game that's out of your control as the player. Yeah, see, this is the point in the game where the blast barrel segments start getting kind of complex. Thankfully, they are at least nice enough to actually give you like a little mercy barrel there where if you fire at the wrong time, it'll just send you back to the start of the section there. So see, the developers aren't complete jerks the way that so-and-so would like to portray them. Like, they thought of that. They're trying to slowly train the player up into being good at the blast barrel segments. Because, oh god, you need to be good at them by the end of the game. So, yeah. Like, I respect the fact that it's his playthrough of the game, and he wants to play it in the style that he chooses to play it, but at the same time, I also feel that if you're going to play a game like this, like, intentfully play a game like this, and oops. God, I keep messing up the timing. That's totally my fault. There we go. Yeah, if you're gonna... And see, like I said, the thing that aggravates me a little bit more about it is it was a viewer's choice playthrough. But yet there were several instances where it was clearly evident from his demeanor, among other things, that he was on the cusp of outright quitting the game multiple times over just because he couldn't. Okay, I think I'm gonna use Funky Flights to jump back to the previous level so I can save, since I don't have access to a save point in this current level, or on this current stage map. Like, there we go. Alright. Sheesh, I kinda lost track of time. My ranting. I guess I could play one more level or play until I game over, and then since I already got my data saved again, so it's not like that would be that big of a loss me getting a game over at this point. Wow. That instant karma. Ask and you shall receive, apparently. But anyways. I love how this jumped from being a Let's Play to a let's bitch about another let's player. But then again, not that I'm trying to turn this into drama or anything, but like he clings on. He's the type of narcissistic egotist that will cling on to any bright spot of something in order to try and make a big deal out of it. Like for example, he claims himself to be a, air quotes, former professional fighting game, like, former professional fighting game player. God damn it, that was my fault. I was trying to be fancy and get that, because there's a technique called roll jumping that you can do, where if you, particularly with Diddy, where if you roll off of a ledge, he has a bit of coyote time at the end of his jump animation, so you can kind of jump, or you can get the jump to carry him a further distance than you think it would. And it's useful for getting over gaps. Yeah, this stage is all about a long segment of dodging zingers on these ropes where you have very little room to actually evade. Of course, a lot of it's down to rope memorization of the positions of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the zingers are all on a global timer where, depending on, they'll always be in roughly the same part of their cycles, depending on how much time has passed in the level. Oops, sorry about that. The groundskeepers for the apartment are doing some work tending to the yard outside, and unfortunately, you might hear some background noise from the. You might hear some noise of them, like running lawnmowers and stuff in the background, and I apologize for that in advance. What did it? Oh, I didn't know that. You can almost cheese that segment by staying toward the bottom rather than going toward the top or the middle. Alright, I'll try and complete this entire world before I call the session, or call the recording. Well, or at least up to the next. Up to the next save point, maybe. And then I'll start a new recording. Thankfully, I believe the next save point should be coming up in the next stage or two, so I should be good on that one. But yeah, Okay. This one should be a little bit less of a pain in the butt than the other one that I ran into in this minigame. Since that one I had 2 flash traps to deal with instead of just one. So I can actually demonstrate what is the actual win condition of this one. Or not, apparently, because I just suck. Or just... I think I clipped it during its... just as it was coming out of the invincible state, so... where it could... just... yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I should be coming up on a... so, yeah. Yeah, then clearing the stage should open up the mid-area, or mid-world save. The only thing that kind of sucks about the saves in this game is that some of them are front-loaded toward the beginning of the world, while others wind up being very heavily back-loaded. Sometimes you have to kind of hope that you have access to a Funky's Flights early in the world so you can go back to a previous level and save. Okay, let's try this minigame again. The key part to it is just being careful to wait till you know that he's solid. There we go. If I recall correctly, when that guy was doing his playthrough, initially he'd sort of taken a fan request to do 100% playthrough, but like by the end of it he was like, oh fuck this, I'm just gonna smash my face against thing and just trying to run through the game as fast as humanly possible and not care about the bonus areas or anything. This level is just kind of a pain. Like, it's not, like, hard, like, it's not, like, challenging that, like, it's not difficult. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is it's not really unfairly difficult or anything like that. Like, it's not like brutally hard or anything, even though my death count might be making it look like that. There we go. And yeah, say area save, so I'll go ahead and my save, and I think that'll be a nice place to break the recording off. Have fun. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. I might try to make this into an actual series, since PTC is actually a fairly short game, and it isn't really super time consuming, at least not up until like the later stages, but it's still a fun game to play through. But feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Just have fun with it. This is James, aka Kuga21, signing out.